KFSR and CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger, a public affairs program featuring stories from all over the Central Valley with Sevag Tateosian, 90.7 KFSR.
Welcome to the Central Valley Ledger. We're recording out of the beautiful downtown Fresno studios of the Community Media Access Collaborative, Fresno Clovis. Our guests are with the Association of the United States Army Sounds of Freedom Military Band. Harry and Lynn, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
So, did I get that right? Because I practiced on that one.
You did. Concert band was the
Concert
last
band. So the next time I announce it, I'm going to say concert band. How do you properly say it?
We tend to say the AUSA, Sounds of Freedom. That's the short version. But if we're writing it, we do it exactly the way you said it.
And AUSA, Association of United States Army.
Correct.
So that's a perfect way to start this interview because, so are you all veterans of the Army?
No, we're not. This is the only organization that you do not have to be a veteran to belong. But we are a veterans organization.
So the members of your group, you don't have to be a veteran of any military to be a part of it.
That's right.
But you have to have a love of the veterans and the military because we spend a lot of time supporting veterans events and military events. For example, change of commands, deployments, soldiers coming back, and acknowledging. We did a service in conjunction with the American Legion for Vietnam vets. And I'm not a veteran, but my dad was a prisoner of war and my father-in-law was a Pearl Harbor survivor. So I love being around that environment.
Harry, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm just an old guy.
He's a veteran.
I am a veteran. I served in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, combat engineers. I was in right at the end of the Korean War, and I was very fortunate that I didn't get sent to Korea, but they sent me to Europe instead, and I served on the World War II occupational forces.
There's some stuff going on in Korea now. What do you think about that?
I think we got big problems.
So it shouldn't be taken lightly.
No, it should not be.
Tell us about yourself, Lynn.
Well, I have lived in California, native, born and raised, and been in the Central Valley since 1985. I joined the Sounds of Freedom shortly after my dad died. He loved the kind of music we play, the marches, the patriotic music. And the first time I went to one of the performances, it was for soldiers returning from Fallujah, and they were being awarded Purple Hearts and Bronze Star awards at Fresno State during the Easter weekend in 2005. And I was extremely touched because the families of the soldiers and a couple of the soldiers themselves came up and thanked me for giving up my weekend time to play for them. And I'm thinking, no, you're the heroes. But I was so drawn in by that I was hooked. I was just hooked.
Harry, is this an all-volunteer
Yes, it is.
group? And the reason I ask is, a few years ago, I heard you for the first time at the flag-raising ceremony at City Hall. And what a well-put-together band. How often do you practice?
We practice once a week on Wednesdays at the Clovis Veterans Building.
What is it that you're practicing? I mean, do you have a set? Walk us through practice.
Well, we arrive, of course, and set up.
And tune up.
And our conductor, who is Monty Murr, who recently was a survivor of cancer. He's still a little weak, but he is now back as our director. And in the interim, Julie, who was at the flag raising directing, filled in. She's instructor of music in the Selma Unified District. And
But in
very,
it,
very talented. Same one, went to the same high school I did.
Uh-oh.
but circling back to what happens at a rehearsal, we have people coming from all over. We tune up, we play, and we go through the sort of repertoire for the upcoming concerts. For example, we're doing a performance this Wednesday and then on May 21st, and we've started working on that music. With the idea that practice makes perfect, and we stop, go until we get through the songs.
You played the national anthem beautifully, but what surprised me about at the flag raising is you also figured out how to play the Armenian national anthem. Is it easy to follow the sheet of music and produce what you produced, because you did it so beautifully?
Well, thank you.
Practice makes perfect.
Our director did an arrangement, and we've practiced it. Although anyone can join the band, one has to have the ability to sight read. So if you can sight read the music, unless it's just over the top difficult, pretty much we can deliver.
Tell us about an upcoming event that you're having. You're having a concert upcoming at the Clovis Auditorium or Memorial Auditorium. Tell us about that.
That'll be on May 21st. I believe it starts at 2.
It always starts at 2.
And it's free to the public. This will be the Armed Forces Day concert.
Yeah.
And it's a mix of marches and patriotic music, some more
Show tunes.
symphonic pieces. The concert usually runs just under 2 hours. We have an intermission in between where the band members come out to the audience and socialize, introduce themselves. And we have a fan following. I mean, we have people that absolutely never miss a concert.
Well, but it's free.
Yes,
So, I mean, is there a catch? Can I donate to you?
absolutely.
We have a little table in the back that has little cans to put your money in. Yeah. we do
And
that.
the AUSA is a nonprofit, so it's obviously a tax deduction. And we welcome any donations.
What are the donations for? Do you have a specific reason? And the reason I ask is I remember a few years ago you were invited to perform out of town, and so I was like, wow, that's going to be an expensive trip. I would have loved to help you get to where you needed to go.
We had several donations, and what happened is there's no way in the world we could have got the amount of money that we needed to get back to Washington, D.C. So what we did with the money that was donated, it was a pretty good sum, but not quite enough by a long shot. But we notified all the people if they wanted their money back or they wanted to let it be a donation to the band, and most of them donated it to the band, and we've used that money for operation purposes in the meantime. You asked what we use the money for. There's maintenance to some of the larger instruments, such as the drums and so forth. And music. Music is very expensive. We have a bill for music that amounts to probably about $500 or $600 a month.
Wow.
Plus, we do help our conductor a little bit with a stipend, just a very small amount. And but that, and we have to haul around the trailer that we use to bring all the instruments and stuff to the concerts, and we pay a person mileage to get that to our practice.
One thing I love is the uniforms you wear when you're playing. Tell us a little bit about the uniforms.
Well, I designed it.
You're asking the right person.
Yeah, there you go. So tell us about it.
The first uniforms, when the gentleman who owned, what's the name of that one? The window company in Clovis, Anlin Window.
Anlin
When he
Windows.
was alive, he was a great supporter of veterans, and he donated the shirts to begin with, which was 75. And we bought the epaulets and patches and the gold braid. and I had them all sewn on, and I had them all laundered and handed them out to the band at my expense.
You have some things there. Tell us a little bit about what those are.
Well, those are ribbons from medals. The top one is the occupational medal for Europe. A good conduct medal. I got good conduct
Wow,
too.
good for you.
National Defense and Korean medal. The bottom ones are the State Guard, and the other one is AUSA.
So tell us a little bit more about where you perform when you're out there. So you did the flag raising, and then I've heard that you go out and perform at other places.
For example, we play for the American Legion Post 8900 Stand Down. That's an annual event. We usually make it out on Memorial Day to Liberty Cemetery, and there's a wreath-laying ceremony. We have our quarterly concerts at the Clovis Veterans Memorial District. And someone said wherever a flag is raised, they call us and we're out there. And some days it feels like that. There was a young man who was being deployed and his mother wanted to give him a send-off. And so we met at her house, and it was a small family party, but he went off to the Navy and we gave him a significant goodbye. Sadly, we play at funerals. We've played at a few funerals. Some of them have been very touching because they were our founders of the band, and they started the group in 1984. And our most recent funeral was for Holland Kenny, who was the founder. Also Tony Lala, we played at his funeral. So we're available, and some of our band members who have died, those funerals. So
We're going to listen to a couple of minutes of the music that your band has made in a little bit. But before we get there, I want to ask you about emotion. To me, music is very emotional. Are there times where you're playing and it really touches you?
Oh, yes.
How do you keep your composure? Like, what
You
happens?
don't.
I mean, one of the examples you gave is at funerals. If that music, funerals are sad to begin with, but you add a little bit of sad music to it, and I could see just tears running down.
they do, and one of them is the Navy hymn. You can't help but listen to the emotion of it. There's another piece we do, and usually it's narrated, and it's Douglas MacArthur's speech. For me, I picture my dad in prison camp, and then the hardships he went through. But it's like the show must go on.
Right, right. Well, let's take a listen right now to the Association of the United States Army Sounds of Freedom Concert Band.
Military.
Military. I knew I forgot something. Let's listen.
Sounds recording.
We just heard from a piece that your band just played. So how do you practice to make it sound so good? Because I was impressed at how everything flowed.
Have you played in a band?
No, I haven't. That's why I asked the question.
It's a lot of the director's, I want to say talent, because you're, like in theater, you're pulling the different parts together. Stage left, stage right. It's written, but your director sets the pace, pulls in the different parts, adjusts the volume. So it's almost like a choreographed dance.
Well, and Harry, I want to ask you, you have a guest coming actually to the Fresno area that your group is sponsoring or supporting. Tell us about that.
Are you speaking about Tonto?
Yes, I'm speaking about Tonto.
Tonto is going to be the with the for the parade, the Grand Marshal of the parade, the Veterans Day Parade on November 11th.
The big Veterans Day
Right.
parade that happens
Which is, by the way, the largest in the country.
wow.
We outdid New York
Good.
last year. He is going to be our Grand Marshal. And he is coming, and I didn't bring the date of the fundraiser that he's going to come for, too. Tonto is a call sign for the survivor of the Benghazi affair. He's the one that communicated, and he's the survivor of Benghazi.
Can you tell us that story?
No, I didn't. But the Veterans Day Parade CEO is Dan Payne, and he arranged for him to come. Like last year, we had Colonel North as the Grand Marshal, which cost them quite a bit of money, by the way. But and this year it's Tonto, because we're honoring the Army this year.
What's your role in the Veterans Day parade?
We play in front of City Hall.
Oh, wow.
So we are the entertainment when we don't have a band going through. So for example, the Corvette Club might start, and then there's a gap, and then we play. And then maybe the Fresno State Band will play, or some of the local schools, but we fill in the gaps. We don't march.
How many people are in the band, and are you always willing to accept new people?
The number of people fluctuates. We have had an average of about 45 for a number of years, but some of our students graduate and move. Some of our folks become frail and can't play. We are always willing to accept new people. There's no addition, but they have to be able to already play an instrument. It's not like starting from scratch.
If you had a magic wand, and that magic wand could give you an instrument player, what instrument are we lacking in your band?
It fluctuates. I mean, we will go through a stage where we have so many brass, and then it dwindles, or right now we could use a couple more clarinets.
Clarinets.
It's real strange. In all the community bands that I've been in, which has been 2, if you have a lot of trombones, you have no clarinets. If you have a lot of clarinets, you seem not to have any trombones. And I don't know why that is, but it seems to happen. And right now we have a pretty good supply of trombones, but we don't have very many clarinets.
So for clarinet players that are watching this or listening to this broadcast,
We'll take everybody. It doesn't, not just clarinets.
There's no, what do you call it, trying out for
Yeah.
it. You
There's
just
no
come.
audition, but I would say anyone who has had some training, they have to be able to read music, follow the conductor, if they, oh, I can play, and they only play by ear, they probably wouldn't fit in because it is very much a directed band. But any instrument that is a band, I mean, if someone comes and it's a violin, they may not have a part for.
We've talked about the instruments that others play and some instruments that you're in need of, but we didn't talk about what you two play. So, Lynn, tell us what you play, how long you've been playing it, and some secrets about playing it well.
You're assuming I play it well.
Well,
Thank you.
I listened to you at City Hall, and I enjoyed it.
I started in the 5th grade, clarinet, plastic. The band director handed me a flute and a clarinet, and I thought, no offense, Harry, but I thought the flute was very shrill. I went to clarinet.
Somehow I think that Harry plays the flute, but we're going to get to Harry in a little bit.
I feel that the key to playing well is to show up at every rehearsal that you possibly can. Even someone who thinks they play well, if they don't come to the rehearsals, they're not in sync with the ensemble. So for me, it's not about being a showboat, it's blending, and that's where I focus. I try and be a team player. And that seems to work. I've been playing for a long time.
Harry, what do you play? When did you start playing it? Why are you so interested in playing the...
Well, I've always said that music is something that's good for the mind. You can have a bad day and then go to band practice and then feel very good after you're done. Music is another language. It's a second language. You asked what makes music sound well, what makes us sound good. The director makes us understand how the music is written. Getting loud, getting soft, getting expressions in the music. It's not just notes. It's learning to play loud, learning when to play soft, and so on and so forth. That's what makes the music sound good.
What makes the arena you play in so good? Is there a secret? I mean, you play in the Clovis Auditorium, and that's where you go back and forth to play. Is there something about that building that makes you sound good?
Not necessarily. The acoustics aren't really that well. Acoustics, we've played in the, we've given concerts in the old auditorium, the Memorial Auditorium downtown Fresno. We've given concerts in the Warner Theater, and we gave concert at the Soroyan Theater. The Soroyan Theater acoustics is something out of this world.
Really? I wouldn't think Soroyan of all the places, but Soroyan, you're saying that it sounds good in there.
Yeah, well, that's designed for the acoustics, and the Warner Theater as well.
Interesting. So tell us about this fundraiser you have coming up, and if I attend, what am I going to hear?
A bunch of new music we just got.
When is it? Where is it? How can people find out more information?
There's not too much information to put out, except that it's a concert of various types of music. There's marches, serenade. We got a concerto, or I guess is it a concerto? I don't.
Symphonic.
Symphonic.
Yeah. Yes.
It's 4 pages long.
And that's not necessarily a fundraising concert. That's our standard Armed Forces Day concert, but we'll take donations. Yes.
It's a community concert. We do it for the community.
So who comes out? Families, friends? Who comes out?
We have a lot of seniors, people who recognize the music when we play music from the 40s and 50s, although this concert's going to have some 80s music as well. Both people who know individuals in the band and people who have been just heard about us through the newspaper snippets or have seen us at the parade. We have a variety of community people.
Both of you, thank you for coming on the air. Thank you for sharing a little bit about the Association of the United States Army Sounds of Freedom Military Concert Band.
A+.
It took me a couple times, but I got it.
We're also the Central California chapter of the association.
So the next time you come on, I will practice and add Central California to that somewhere. I promise.
And thank you for having us.
You're both very welcome. Keep up the great work. Like I said, I heard you at the flag raising at City Hall, and it was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
That was only a small part of us.
I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more.
Okay.
That's all for this edition of the Central Valley Ledger. I'm your host, Sevag Tateosian. Thank you to the volunteer crew that made this production and every production possible. We couldn't do this without you. Today we learned about music with Harry and Lynn, both from the Association of the United States Army Sounds of Freedom Military Concert Band, the Central California chapter, by the way. Thank you to those watching this broadcast on Comcast 93 and AT&T 99. Thank you to those listening on KFSR 90.7 FM. Hope you enjoyed the program. Tune in next week to a new edition.
KFSR and CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger every Sunday morning at 11:30. For a complete program schedule, visit kfsr.org.